students by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome into WTIM, your information station. It's time for the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Tim Zalabak. Thanks so much to these live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. In studio, we have Jeff Stoner, Director of the Christian County Emergency Management Agency. How are you, Mr. Stoner, today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for being back in studio with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We talked last month, October, Fire Prevention Safety Month. Maybe we talked a little bit before that, but we talked fire prevention. How'd that month go? What kind of messages did we get out there?
Yeah, it went great. Obviously, the schools came to fire departments went to schools all across the county, and it really preached, fire safety, and then having an evacuation plan in your own home.
Absolutely.
So
now with these fire prevention tactics in mind and messages in mind, colder season starting to roll right in. We're firing up the heaters, space heaters. I'm sure you're hearing all the types of things people are implementing in their homes. What's on your mind in terms of fire safety?
Sure. So as we know, October, Halloween's over, and the 31st ends, and then Christmas lights go up on the 1st, right? We kind of skip the Thanksgiving, and just go right to Christmas. But as the season gets colder, we find a lot of, people start hanging Christmas lights. They start using sometimes space heaters, and a lot of the times extension cords as well. So what we call is the daisy chain of extension cords. You just one after the other. So it's really, outlets aren't made for that kind of extension cord, plugins. 8 plugins to one outlet is not a good thing. So. So we look at a lot of fires happen with the space heaters. Placing a space heater too close to a curtain or to any flammable object that could heat up, and then just having it on when you're not there. That could be a fire concern. So just kind of, we tell people to keep the area around the space heater free and clear of any debris, any flammable objects or anything like that. Sure. So. And now is obviously the great time with the fall back to change your smoke detector batteries and your CO batteries. You should be checking those at least twice a year. Sure. A lot of the smoke detectors are good for about 7 years. Okay. So if you haven't changed in a while, there's a manufacturing expiration date on the back. Look at that. And if it's time to replace it, just replace it.
Easy. It'll start to chirp at you maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
When you use a new battery.
It'll chirp. We get a lot of phone calls too about that. Is my house on fire? It's like, well, no, it's time to change the batteries. And fire department, you call the fire department, and if you have problems, especially like if you're elderly or you don't have smoke detectors, definitely contact your local fire department, and they can either come help you change your battery, or they can point you in the right direction to get new smoke detectors, or there is smoke detectors available at some departments as well.
So glad you guys are there to help out with that. And I wonder about getting on ladders or getting on my swivel chair to change my battery, and that gets a little bit dicey right there. But be careful out there, folks. Don't risk anything, and call the Taylorville Fire Department, call the EMA. They'll help you out there. Some great things to key in on there with these colder months coming in. Start with space heaters. I never really thought about it though, but I feel like people might want to turn those on, leave the room, maybe even leave their home with those on. Right. That's not a good move.
Yeah, no, it's not to leave those unattended because obviously wires can short out. Those things get pretty hot, and if it's too close to an object, it could start that fire. And if no one's home, even overnight too, if there is no smoke detectors in the house, or smoke detector batteries aren't working, it could cause a major fire. As we look into like the Christmas tree, the trees itself, obviously a real Christmas tree that maybe make sure it stays watered, it's not dry. Once you cut it and it becomes dry, it goes up. It can potentially cause a fire pretty quickly to spread in your house.
I'm a real Christmas tree guy, Jeff Stoner. I keep that thing watered, and it takes water like you wouldn't believe. So you got to keep your eye on that, feeling the pines, making sure they're not too dried out. And going back, it kind of pairs well with Christmas trees. Cords, you might have struck a chord with a few people out there because you love getting the power strip in the line. That's one outlet done, but then there's like 8 outlets right there. Is that the same thing when you plug in that power strip? Is it the same thing as having 8 different outlets or plugs plugged into one wall outlet, or is that doing some distribution?
Yeah, it's and I'm no electrical engineer,
sure,
but it does that distribution. And a lot of the power power strips now have the surge protectors and things like that. So, and then hopefully it'll, trip breakers or things like that. But we suggest obviously using multiple different outlets, and not just, one extension cord with 12 items plugged into it,
Yeah.
and then making sure you check your extension cords prior to, attaching any lights to it or any power to it, that there's no cuts in it, that the wires aren't exposed. And then if it is, make sure you either, fix whatever it is, or, replace that.
Sure.
Before.
We've all seen those pretty intricate designs of cords and plugs all in kind of kind of precariously. And
Yeah.
it makes you wonder there. And it would be like a shorting out or a surge. You said surge protector there. What is it that really happens when it's overloaded there?
Yeah, it's just overloaded, and it could create sparks. It could create lots of heat, which then, could overload the system. And then start a fire.
Sure. As we're moving through the seasons here, let's talk a little bit Thanksgiving here. A lot of people love to fry their turkeys, and there's a lot to be aware of, and that kind of thing. What's your message for those people?
Make sure that if you're frying a turkey, all right, it's completely thawed, right? Completely thawed out. Do not put a frozen turkey into a fryer. That will cause a fire pretty quickly. If you are doing it, make sure you have the appropriate fire extinguishers, or you're in an area that is not indoors. A lot of people, do it in the garage because, it's cold outside and they want to stay warm. But, the first thing with that too is if there is a fire with one of a turkey fryer or anything inside the building, if you can, grab that turkey fryer and get it outside the building, and get that away from any of the, the flammables in your house, and that'll really help contain that fire spread.
Sure. So you're saying move it out of the garage, even get it probably onto the driveway there, and we've all seen the videos where it gets out of hand quick. What do you do? That's I feel like you can't go water.
It's really just removing it from the source of and that's really what we got to
try to dump it in the grass. I'm trying to think. You're trying to get the water away from the hot oil. Is the main goal right there. And you mentioned a frozen turkey, and you have to thaw that turkey out and have it as dry as possible. I've been hearing, and that's just I'm no turkey fryer. I've never done it before, but I've seen their videos, and I've seen some of the information on that. So that can get pretty dicey there. So keep it for the driveway. Stay out of the garage and any closed areas for doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
Jeff Stoner in studio right now, director of the Christian County Emergency Management Agency. Anything else for Thanksgiving that I'm missing there? What else have we not?
No, obviously, safety wise, that's really it. Just be, everybody, eats a lot, right? And then, and sometimes turkey makes us tired. It's one of those old adages. But just make sure too, if you're with family, and depending on the weather situations, normally we'll have a lot of snow come Thanksgiving. Sure. But make sure you're drinking responsibly. It's the holiday season. Everybody's with their families. Everybody's home, maybe from college. And so just making it to where you're going safely, and then making it home to where you've been with your family is really key. Because a lot of the times you see, potential drunk driving accidents or, impaired accidents. And it's just really sad, especially, obviously sad year round, but, during the holidays when the family's home.
Yeah. Absolutely see that uptick in at least those instances, and they're absolutely going to be more prevalent out there on the roads during those times. So always remain vigilant out there on the roads. Last couple of minutes here on this first segment here, Jeff Stoner. It's last couple of weeks here, very windy, very rainy, end of harvest. Anything on your mind? Anything pop up for the EMA during that time?
No, it was through the harvest season. It was really actually pretty calm for us. We don't want to use the quiet word. But it was pretty calm for us. We had some field fires around the area the county fire departments responded to very swiftly, and nothing got too out of hand or anything. And it was pretty, for the most part, pretty dry harvest. And farmers were able to get through. I know working ground has been challenging now with the amount of rain that just kind of got dumped on us this past few days. But I think it was right around 5 inches is what some of the totals I've heard around the area. But it's good. You need the rain, but there's that point where most of the harvest has been completed. Hopefully, as I look around, and that's a good thing. But yeah.
Before all that rain came in, we had probably a week of like 40-mile-an-hour winds and just still very dry conditions before the rain came in. And we might have even had a few burning days in Taylorville. And I actually heard of a resident that the neighbor was burning, and things were just blowing, ash was burning and blowing onto a siding. You have to be careful of days when you're on days that are windy, even if it is a burning day.
Yeah. So when it's really windy out, you're looking at 20 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts, anything like that. You shouldn't burn anyway. I mean, there's some area towns, that do burn bans, depending on the wind level and the fire risk level. But yeah, it's just kind of like, if it's 40 mile an hour winds outside, probably not a good day. Even if it is a burn day, probably not a good day to burn, right? Because even though you don't think, it's like, well, I have this fire contained here to this barrel or these pile of leaves, that can jump pretty quick. And then it can cause fire somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, Jeff Stoner, I'm glad we're not going to use the quiet word, but I'm glad things have been calm throughout that harvest and moving into the winter months. We have Jeff Stoner, in studio director of the Christian County Emergency Management Agency, right here on the WTIM Morning Show. We'll be right back. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Find out all the great things happening in the Pana area on the WTIM Pana Morning Show, Tuesdays from 8:40 till 10. You'll hear interviews with Pana area community, nonprofit, and business leaders each week. The WTIM Pana Morning Show is brought to you by these sponsors.
Our title sponsor, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, along with Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, Your Pana Save-A-Lot, Whiskey Bill's Saloon and Liquor Emporium, and Locked and Loaded Limited.
That sound reminds us winter is coming. As a mature adult, you don't want to deal with ice, snow, cold, slipping, and sliding. Get on the waiting list at Taylorville Estates Assisted Living. It's socialization with friends, riding the bus to local activities, have your own apartment, and 3 home-cooked meals every day. Get on their waiting list now. Enjoy the assisted living lifestyle and beat old man winter. Stop by or call Administrator Tony Clark at 824-2222, 824-2222. Taylorville Estates Assisted Living, encouraging independence, enriching lives.
Hey, Troy, my furnace is making some strange noises.
Like what?
When it kicks on, it goes like this.
Huh?
And then it goes...
Come on.
And it ends like this.
Well, those are sounds we hear this time of year, but I don't think they're coming from your furnace.
Well, if you hear your furnace huffing and puffing and raising a ruckus trying to keep up with the colder climate, call Jansen's Heating and Air. We can dispatch a batch of highly trained heat hunters to your homestead to conduct a meticulous, methodical, and masterful inspection of your unit. Then, once we've cornered the culprit that altered your airflow, we can professionally and confidently recommend repair or replacement with a new energy-efficient system.
That may lower your energy bills.
Which is good, because this is the time of year.
Don't say it.
To save some bucks.
I knew you were going to say that.
Call Jansen's Heating and Air, 562-5201, jansensheating.com.
Take News Talk WTIM programming with you wherever you go, both live and archived. News Talk WTIM streams 24/7 simply by clicking the Listen Live icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. And to hear archived WTIM programming like the morning or noon farm shows, expanded local newscast, morning show interviews, Swap Shop AM or PM, click the audio on-demand icon in the upper left-hand corner. Whether it's your smartphone, tablet, or desktop, News Talk WTIM stream is with you wherever you go 24 hours a day at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Pastor Brian Moore here from Locust Grove Church near Assumption. We are alive and so worth the drive. Find directions to our church and watch our video podcast by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Agriculture is our largest industry. Your agriculture information station is WTIM, AM, FM, and online. Tune in or stream WTIM's over 8 hours a day of ag information featuring our local farm broadcaster to be in the know.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM, your information station. This WTIM morning show with Jeff Stoner, director of the Christian County Emergency Management Agency. We covered a whole lot in that first half. We talked Thanksgiving, we talked Christmas, some harvest things, and some weather with Jeff Stoner here. We thank you for coming in so prepared for us today. Let's talk a little bit about being more prepared here. Emergency kits for your home, for your car. Let's start with your home. For what kind of disasters are we preparing for there?
Yeah. So any disaster, I mean, that tornadoes, power outages, things like that, especially with the colder months coming. And if we see, major snowstorms or ice storms that affect the power in different areas in the rural areas, it's really good to have an emergency kit, flashlights with batteries, candles, and with lighters, some food, dry food that doesn't require, heating up and things like that. Definitely a supply of water, maybe a case of water, just because you never know how long you're going to be without power. And then, you never know what you're going to need, when it happens. Obviously, we live in a day of technology, right? So having those either solar powered, little battery charges for your phone, or, your electronic devices that you need, that'll really be helpful for a home kit.
Sure.
Yeah.
We just read from Ameren. They released a pretty cool list of preparedness things to have in your emergency kit. They mentioned a cooler. They mentioned some things about for your fridge and your freezer in case the power does go out. Keeping those closed, they can retain some coolness for a little bit.
Yeah.
Having a cooler with you for medication was one I didn't even think about there, because some medications do need to be kept cool like that. But I mean, how long can you really? Do you have? That did fall at like later in the list.
Sure.
So I mean, in terms of importance,
right,
when you're thinking about medicine, it's very important. So is that another thing to have in your kit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would kind of plan for that if that's needed for you, because obviously medications have different lifespans and whatnot. But if there's an issue with medication, or if you have problems keeping things cool or whatever, then you can contact our agency. You can contact your local police department, fire department, and they can kind of help you out and try to get you what you need. There's a lot of resources that people don't really understand that they can call. Obviously, not everything's 911, right? But call your non-emergency line, or call your local government agencies, and they can point you in the direction or get you the help you need.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great message there. And for cars, emergency management kits for emergency kits for cars. What would you include in that?
Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines. Obviously, flashlight. I would pack hand warmers, gloves, blankets, anything that could keep you warm in the event of being stranded out in the snow, in the cold weather. A huge thing again is those battery chargers for your phone. If you have a cellular device and you can at least reach out, tell them, hey, I'm here, I need some help. And then hopefully we can, emergency crews can get to you. But yeah,
good to have that kit in the car. My father would always have a thing. If you'd go out in the car and growing up and I was wearing socks and flip flops on a snowy day, you got to be prepared. You should wear, your shoes, you should wear clothing fit in case you do get stranded there. I've always taken that as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you would, also agree with that. I wasn't trying to make that up.
No, yes, definitely agree. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, my kids do that too. They wear flip flops and, and shorts and 20-degree weather.
Tire,
yeah.
You got a few inches of snow right there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty tough day for you there.
Right.
Jeff, we got 2 minutes left here.
Sure.
A random question for you. You mentioned all the different places you can go for information. It's not always EMA. It can be your local police department. What things would come up for people out there where they would need to contact the EMA other than their police department?
Yeah, anything to do with like the American Red Cross. If there's, if you have any like for warming shelters, or in the summer we have cooling shelters that are across the county that can be set up. If you have information or need information on, I'm trying to think. It's pretty much like anything and everything you can probably think of.
Sure.
We can point you in the right direction to where you need to be. I know the sheriff's office is a really good point of contact too. And I do it with Chief Deputy Jim Baker. I mean, he did, they do a great job over there getting out in the community as well. So, just reach out if you have a question. I mean, a lot of times people just don't know where to go to ask the question. So you can either visit our Facebook site with Christian County Emergency Management on Facebook, on the Christian County courthouse website, our agency, and my phone number's on there too. You can call me anytime. I'm always on the clock. So, just I'm happy to answer questions and help people as much as we can, because that's really the point of our agency.
Amazing. Yeah. So if anything, the CCEMA will get you in the right direction.
Yes.
They'll get you on the right avenues right there. And we appreciate you working in those warming centers and cooling centers during those seasons. We always said we got Jeff Stoner's number on my wall because it's a very important number to call when we have emergencies here. So Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time being here with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jeff Stoner, Director of the Christian County Emergency Management Agency, right here on our WTIM Morning Show. You've been listening to WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W.